Toy Story tells a tale of finding the purpose of living and what it means to make someone happy. Then inevitably, all good things must come to an end. However, it shouldn't deter us from enjoying the good times. And lastly, the importance of family and friends we make along the way. They'll also pave the way for computer animation and give birth to the studio called Pixar, creating new stories that goes far beyond the quality of Toy Story. The legacy this franchise created and the impact it had on a lot of children, all this progress gets wasted. Almost 2 decades of hard work, themes, characters, and the ending gets thrown out the window with Toy Story 4. A movie that disregards everything from the previous installments and insults it, disrespecting what came before. So let's dive into the disaster it left for the franchise. We start off the movie with a flashback to a rainy day at Andy's house, where he comes back from playing outside. Upon Andy leaving, the toys immediately attempts to rescue RC, who was left outside in the rain, with Bo Peep helping. While Woody's rescuing RC with the help of Slinky, the mom begins grabbing the toys inside Molly's room, one of them being Bo Peep. After the mom leaves, Woody manages to rescue RC and then goes after Bo Peep. Upon finding her in the car, she tells him he should leave her behind since she's no longer Andy's toy, giving up and accepting her fate. For a character that's considered to be the voice of reason, she sounds completely unreasonable. First of all, why would Bo Peep abandon her friends? At the same time, Woody was considering going with her, but decided to stay behind, ultimately letting Bo Peep go forever. Okay, we have another problem here. No way Woody will let Bo Peep accept her request. It's like if Luffy tried to save Ace, and he wished to die, so Luffy accepted that request and left him behind. No, this is completely out of character for Woody to do this. It would have made more sense when he rescued RC, it was too late for him to rescue Bo Peep. That ends the flashback, explaining to us what happened to Bo Peep. Not a great start, but this is just scratching the surface of the pile of crap that Pixar gave us. We then cut to the toys being excited to be played while waiting in the closet, which we see some of them nervous, and surprisingly Woody is as well, coming across more anxious in contrast to his much more level-headed, calmer self from before. A little suspicious, but let us move on. Bonnie comes in her room and begins grabbing every single toy except Woody. Instead, she just takes his badge and gives it to Jessie. It turns out Woody hasn't been playing a week. Instead, he's been in the closet collecting dust bunnies, explaining why he was nervous.
What?
Yeah, Woody should not be acting like this since he's already used to not being played by Andy before. Instead, he'll be fine as long as his gang or Bonnie is happy. Bonnie's parents comes into her room since it turns out it's her orientation for kindergarten, but she doesn't want to go but eventually gives in. Woody, seeing how upset she is, goes with her despite the other toys strongly advise him not to go. In the orientation, Bonnie's left by herself in the corner of the room. What type of teacher will leave a girl by herself like that? Well, not a good one. Seeing how miserable she is, Woody gathers materials for her, moving her around the room. Luckily none of them turn around to see him do it, but then again, they are kindergartners. Bonnie, seeing how the materials magical place right in front of her, begins creating a toy for herself, which she goes attached to and begins to show off to her parents, which they reveal to her they'll be going on a field trip. Woody, being proud for making Bonnie happy, discovers the toy she made is alive. This movie really pushes what constitutes a toy to be considered alive. Like, all it takes some googly eyes and some silly string to make it alive? If that's the case, if I apply that to a car, a phone, or a chair, would they be alive? Questions that this movie surprisingly won't answer. Woody introduces the gang to Forky.
I have a question. Well, actually not just one, I have all of them.
Me too, Trixie. I'm also curious. Too bad they won't explain themselves. Upon being taken out of the bag, it wants to go in the trash can.
Why does he want to go to the trash?
Because he was made from trash. Look.
Yeah, no, it was made by human beings, so it's rational to think I want to go back in it. The problem about Ryan this way is that Toy Story already established that trash is essentially death for a toy, so him constantly wanting to go in it is essentially suicide. So we have a monstrous of Woody trying to keep Forky from killing himself. If it sounds wrong, well, blame the hacks that wrote it this way. This also presents another problem. When does Forky know how to play toy? When as far as I've seen him, he's animated to throw himself away. Why would he care if Bonnie sees him do it? Now, to be honest, this was a problem in the first film, where Buzz didn't know he was a toy, so why would he be constantly playing as one? This movie somehow repeats that flaw, but makes the issue blatantly more clear by showing him constantly moving around when they're not looking, so why would he care if they do see him? Eventually, after a while, seeing with Forky sleeping, he decides to take a break, with good old Buzz showing up to help him.
I don't know, Buzz. I know you weren't around when Andy was little, but I don't remember it being this hard.
Yes, you did, Woody. Remember all the adventures you had trying to get back to with Andy? Then Buzz also begins acting strange, where apparently he doesn't know the concept of a consciousness.
That little voice inside me would never leave me alone if I gave up. Who do you think it is? You know, my conscience tells you things, what you're really thinking.
So your inner voice advises you.
What?
I'm sorry, but did Buzz have an equivalent of a human stroke after being switched from demo? Because he knows he's a toy, and his buttons are pre-recorded voice lines that he shouldn't rely on. Hell, I'll go as far as to say as Buzz in the first film, despite not knowing he was a toy, subconsciously knew he had a consciousness. So this decision left me with one question.
What the fuck were they thinking?
After this terrible development, we are then proceeded to a horrible situation where Forky has had enough being cared for and decides to jump out of a moving vehicle, which Woody sadly proceeds to follow him. Both Forky and Woody go on to walk back to the RV, which is luckily only parked 5 miles away from them. So on their little journey, Woody questioned why he wants to be thrown away.
It's warm.
Ew.
It's cozy.
I guess.
And safe.
Woody explains to him that Bonnie can easily offer that, which easily convinces him. I mean, that's all it takes just for this idiot to have some common sense. Since it's gonna be a long walk, Woody tells his whole life story to him.
Andy's room was a planet? Wow, that is messed up.
Right. That's exactly what I thought when he first showed up.
I mean, how is that not annoying?
Thank you.
Yeah, buddy, I wouldn't be talking if I were you. Woody also says something that's pretty out of character for him.
You still feel good about it, but then somehow you find yourself, after all those years, sitting in a closet, feeling,
Useless?
yeah.
No, Woody, did you forget that your purpose is to be with Bonnie when she grows up and make her happy, like you did earlier in the movie, and eventually be back with Andy? Eventually, they reach their destination. Since it was too easy and we have an hour of movie left, we need some conflict, and Woody starts looking for some, since he discovers after walking by a thrift shop, Bo Peep's lamp. Now, the chances of encountering Bo Peep after crossing a couple of states is pretty low, especially lower since it could be another version of her. However, that doesn't deter Woody to investigate and decides to go find out. Unsurprisingly, she wasn't inside since it was evident that the lamp was empty. Then the two of them encounter Gabby Gabby and her companion.
My name is Gabby Gabby, and this is my very good friend, Vincent.
Get back to work or you're fired!
Gabby Gabby, after a few conversations with Woody, becomes interested in him after discovering that he has a voice box and starts to cut to the chase that he would like to have his. Of course, Woody is pretty reluctant not to give it to her, but she insists it's not a choice, with Slappy cousins persuading him. So Woody decides to book it. As he's trying to run away, Forky ends up being captured, and Woody barely managed to escape by getting the attention of a little girl. We cut back to the RV. Apparently Forky being missing upsets Bonnie so much. I refuse to believe that a child would have so much investment for a utensil compared to a real toy. We see the gang getting worried that Woody hasn't come back and begin asking Buzz what to do, which makes sense. If Woody's not here, it usually defaults to him being in charge, but out of character begins to act gets pressure and starts to press his buttons for what to do.
Are we going?
No time to explain. Attack!
No time to explain.
I'm sorry, but what? This is Buzz Lightyear, right? The same one that managed to discover the Redditor's identity and his workplace, at the same time leading the gang to the rescue. This is an absolute massive downgrade to an intelligent character in the series, where we see him just rush into nowhere, following his voice lines where to go, and putting himself in danger. This is something he wouldn't do. Instead, he tried to come up with a plan, set up a team, communication, chain of command. The issue still continues where he wouldn't recklessly be running and throwing around the fair. He favored more towards stealth, but I guess stealth is just an option, which it shows. After being thrown around like a ragdoll that would have damaged him, he managed to get captured and put up for a prize in a carnival game. We then come back to Woody being played by a girl. After wandering around, he ended up encountering Bo Peep. What were the chances of meeting her? Well, pretty bloody low. After she leaves, the both of them do some catching up. Woody discovers that Bo Peep is different, not just in her design, but her personality, where it seems to suggest that being a lost toy was actually a good thing. Even though the previous movies told me it's actually a terrible situation to be in. This is a miserable, lonely, and dangerous existence that will result in death or worse outcome for a toy, since they're meant to make a kid happy. But no, apparently it's a great thing without giving any explanation, following a common theme in this movie. Woody asked Bo Peep for help to rescue his friend. At first he was reluctant but gave in, and the both of them go off to rescue him. We then go back to Gabby Gabby being nice to her hostage, telling him that Woody will be back for him. Forky, developing Stockholm Syndrome, tells Woody whole life story to her. After hearing Gabby's motivation, wanted to be played by a girl named Harmony, but can't since her voice box is broken. Why can't she just remove her voice box and just be played that way since it causes her a lot of problems? Who knows? We then cut to Bo Peep and Woody also deciding stuff is overrated and begins recklessly going around the fair, eventually reaching their destination. At the same time, Buzz managed to escape without getting caught with the two plushies following him. By sheer coincidence, Buzz decides to look up because his inner voice told him to and spotted the both of them. I honestly hate this. So the three meet up with the third wheel as well, and they go off to find Sporky. While that's happening, the first time in the series, the toys ran out of time where the family begins to leave. Just added to the list of rules being broken, Jesse decides to buy some time by flattening the tire with a nail, causing misery for the dad to fix this, so Bonnie and her mom decides to go shopping. The group begins to scout out the place and trying to figure out a plan since the store cat is known for destroying toys, which will be a problem in trying to reach Gabby. At the same time, her headquarters acts as a good lookout, with Slappy cousins being the overseers. The moment Woody sees Bonnie go in the store, he becomes smooth brain and begins rushing towards the direction of the cat to reach Gabby's hideout. Again, this is completely out of character for Woody to act recklessly. Similar to Buzz, he'll come up with a plan before he takes action, like he did to break out of the daycare center or when helping Buzz escape from Sid. Regardless if Bonnie is there, he wouldn't panic like this since in the first movie at Pizza Planet, he was given a chance to get back to Andy, but Buzz decided to enter the crane machine thinking it's a rocket. So he ended up giving up on Andy to get him back, albeit frustrated to make the decision, but he was willing to be patient with him. Woody recklessly going into essentially a minefield caused a lot of problems to happen, because of course Slappy was able to spot them and cause a fight to happen, which resulted in Bo Peep Sheeps being captured. I'm reluctant to say that since yeah, Gabby has Bo Peep Sheeps in her custody, but that's because they wouldn't let go of the puppet's ass. While that fight is happening, Buzz and the stuffed animals are trying to figure out how to acquire a key to enter inside Gabby's hideout, which the key is literally given to them on a silver platter. I'll talk about the humor of Duck and Bunny towards the end. For now, let us move on. Bo Peep is pretty upset with Woody for what he did, which yeah, seems pretty out of character, isn't it, writers? The both of them enters a toy's hideout where they acquire the help from Keanu Reeves. Before asking him what they specifically need him, they first should talk about Woody.
You know better.
Yeah, some toy thought it would be a good idea to wander into the aisle.
Everybody knows the best route is behind the shelves.
That would have been a better route, wouldn't it?
Wow, this toy sounds like a complete idiot.
He does.
Yes, movie, insult your mascot of your franchise for how dumb they are. They want his help to jump across an aisle. Explain their big brain plan in a bit. Conveniently, he has an excuse for not doing it because his previous owner threw him away since he couldn't do a simple jump. Despite the trauma that will define his character, it will be difficult to change his mind and be able to do it. But remember, this is written by hacks, so he gets easily convinced with a couple of words and joins them. So what is their hostage rescue plan? Well, they have Keanu Reeves jump across an aisle to reach Gabby's hideout with a rope attached to him to open it with a key that they got and rescue Sporky. Of course, to rescue someone, you want to do it where they can easily see you coming in their direction, especially when they know you're coming and could easily spot you with what you're trying to do. Thus, our characters take this into account and use the back alleys to sneak behind her while she's distracted, since they mocked Woody for not knowing it. Nope, they actually believe this was a great plan, and of course everything goes wrong. Since they could easily see them, they were coming, and I guess the gang didn't think they would retaliate, so they had another fight resulting in them escaping the shop without Sporky. Honestly, what the hell were they even thinking? I can't emphasize how idiotic this plan was, where Gabby could easily see them coming and retaliate. We now hit our classic low point of the film, where the group wants to call it quits and Woody wants to go back and rescue Sporky. Bo Peep questions Woody why he wants to go back.
That makes Woody special is he'll never give up on you.
This is something that Bo Peep should already know about him. The next few lines is just disgusting. Woody talks about he has no other purpose.
Why?
Because it's all I have left to do. I don't have anything else. Bonnie needs Forky.
No, you need Bonnie.
This is just completely disgusting to assume Woody will be doing things out of selfishness, where time and again he will risk life and limb to save toys that he considers as family. For Bo Peep to say this is a complete joke.
Open your eyes, Woody. There's plenty of kids out there. It can't be just about the one you're still clinging to.
Yes, it's always been about one, always has been since the first bloody movie. Because they're Andy's toys trying to make his childhood happy, and now they're doing it for Bonnie. At this point, this is a complete lack of understanding from the writers, where It gets blatantly more clear they have no clue what the hell they're even writing about. The rest of the toys begins abandoning Woody, and even Buzz does as well, where Woody again goes in to rest his life again, so Buzz stands there, watches him, he begins panicking, pressing his buttons to tell him what to do, only telling him to go back to the RV and just leave him behind.
Woody once risked his life to save me. I couldn't call myself his friend if I weren't willing to do the same.
Voice.
Mission accomplished. Return to base.
Thanks a lot, Voice.
Yeah, I'm calling the police because I witnessed a murder happen. Woody goes in without a plan again. Gabby finds him and she begins telling him a sob story that she wants the same opportunity that Woody has had being played by a kid.
I'd give anything to be loved the way you have.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
The only way to achieve that is to give her Woody's voice box. Yeah, I don't care how sad your One Piece backstory is, since you're in no position to demand anything from someone after taking a friend hostage. It's like I'm being asked for ransom from a family's safety. I'm not doing this because it's charity. Then it happened, for the first time in Toy Story history, where the villain wins. How Gabby gets what she wanted. I already said in my complaint, but why would the producers let this happen? One of the most iconic things about Woody is his voice lines. So why would they let this even happen in the first place? While Woody was getting his surgery, Bonnie's dad took him the whole day to change a tire. Sure, whatever pattern the movie wants to make, or how much they want him to suffer. The gang is worried that they hadn't come back, with Buzz confirming Woody's still back there at the thrift shop, but he noticed that Bonnie left her bag at the store and hopefully she'll remember. Unfortunately, Buzz failed to realize that Bonnie is still a child and forgets to remember her bag, creating a confusing scene where Buzz doesn't know what to do, begins activating his voice lines for what to do, like it's the magic conch shell. He keeps pressing it to find a voice line that will make Bonnie remember, causing an annoyance to the family, making the mom put Buzz inside the cabinet. Since it's getting him nowhere, instead he shouted inside the cabinet that Bonnie forgot her bag, causing her to remember. It's out of the editing, but how would Bonnie even hear that from Buzz instead of the mother and not be suspicious about it? Are they trying to replicate Toy Story 1 where Woody got the attention from Sid by speaking through his voice box? Is this something they were trying to do but poorly? Once she got her ransom, she gave back her hostage and tried to get the attention of Harmony, only to turn out she wasn't interested in her and just dumps her. Don't get me wrong, I was a bit happy, but at the same time confused. The movie set up Harmony is a girl that does tea party and Gabby would be suited for her. I guess they took a page from Ryan Johnson's subverting audience expectations. Woody out of nowhere begins to develop sympathy for her by leaving his one ticket to get back with Bonnie and asks her to come join his family to be Bonnie's toy, and she agrees to do it, so they go off to the RV. The RV already heading home managed to basically be hijacked by the toys. Trixie poorly pretending to be the GPS. After that doesn't work, they just control the gas pedal of the vehicle. Slowly heading towards the fair, causing the dad to get in trouble by the police. This gives enough time for Woody to reach it. On their way to the RV, they see a girl by herself. Gabby says he'll go with this girl, so they create a scenario for the both of them to be together. Woody finally reaches the vehicle. As he says goodbye to Bo Peep, he starts to get second thoughts and decides to stay with her, and decides that being a lost toy is better than being with Bonnie. This scene here breaks the camel's back for essentially abandoning his friends. All three of the movies where we see Woody struggling to have his toys that he's considered as family to be together, risking his life to make sure that happens. Multiple times he was given an opportunity to leave them behind. In the second movie, how he could be admired by children but refused that offer and wanted to be with Andy, even if he stopped playing with him. In the third film, he was given an opportunity to be with his family or Andy, and chose the former. I guess the movie just undoes all that, where Bo Peep is more important than the people he tried his best to have them stood together. Not even once does he ask her that she wants to be with Bonnie to reunite with her friends, but no, being a lost toy is better without giving any explanation. Not only that, this also creates another consequence.
You think you can take care of him for me?
Well, I guess Woody forgot since he has no other purpose than saving this piece of plastic trash. Once Annie finished college comes to Bonnie asking for Woody, she had to say, well, she lost it. Great job, you hacks. That ends Toy Story 4. Being given a broken down car, where do I even begin the issue here? Most notably, the characters of this film never have seen a complete butchery since Wreck-It Ralph 2. But this movie made worse how, unlike that movie, this one had 3 films that were carefully done, only for the 4th installment to be like said toys being dismantled and create a horrific mess of a character. Let us start with Woody. I don't know if they have a grudge against him, but whatever the case might be, they did him dirt in this film. A toy that's supposed to resemble an experienced cowboy trying to do the right thing comes across like an introverted teenager being constantly anxious and being told by other people what to do. This is just scratching the surface of the problem, where apparently this version of Woody thinks he has no purpose and feels useless. What the hell is even this direction for the character? Where in the ending of 3 implied that's how he felt, even though we actually see him doing an important deed for Bonnie like he was a fairy godparent. Is the movie implying because Woody didn't get to be played for 1 week, he started getting this feeling, causing him to be with Bo Peep and leaving his friends behind? None of this characteristic makes sense for him to develop at all. Woody is one of the most strongest probably characters in the series. Multiple times he was given an option to walk away from his friends or abandon Andy to be in a museum, but he always shows his friends. Even when it came between Andy and them, he gladly chose to stay with his family. So this goodbye Andy makes jack shit of sense. Instead, he would ask Bo Peep to be with Bonnie. She's a toddler, it would make sense for her to have Bonnie as a nightlight. Instead, Bonnie will be curious what happened to Woody and Andy will want him back.
But the thing that makes Woody special is he'll never give up on you. He'll be there for you, no matter what.
Well, he did, and went off to rescue a bunch of nobody, and Andy would be upset that he lost his childhood toy, something he put a trust in a stranger. Then we have Buzz, one of the most intelligent of the group, reduced to a walnut in this film. I have no understanding why Buzz got downgraded to this level, other than Prospector Pete wrote his character in the film.
Always hated those upstart space toys.
Throughout the movie, we never see him think for himself, rely on his pre-recorded voice lines, something not even the first movie Buzz would have done this. We've seen how competent he is throughout the trilogy, relying on his stealth and acrobatics to get out of danger, using his head to problem solve obstacles in front of him. Lotso noted these traits and wanted him to join his gang, but decided against it since he never betrayed his friends. Which brings us to the scene of him leaving Woody behind. This is an absolute character assassination for this direction. Woody saved his life that he himself acknowledged, but knowingly letting Woody put himself in danger and leaving him behind is just disgusting. As for Bo Peep, it's not exactly clear why she was removed, but most likely due to the ending of 3 where you have the characters running a trash mill. Having the porcelain doll there with limited movements isn't suitable for this scene, unless you have a Jurassic World situation. Instead of coming up with a creative way to ride around it or more favorable situations, they decide to rework her and similar to League of Legends, came out to be broken. Her movements break the consistency of the animation in Toy Story, where one of the charms is that the toys move how they're supposed to move based on their design. In this film, she moves like a regular human being. She's a porcelain doll, a fragile piece of material that would easily break and isn't meant to be doing stunts. No, it really doesn't make sense. Why did the writers want a fighter girl since they have Jessie, who had criminally little screen time for a character that had more development time than Bo Peep? What wouldn't make sense for the direction of Bo Peep, she will have a sanctuary for broken lost toys and would be some kind of caretaker slash mother to them. Since her personality in the first film was supposed to be the voice of reason, she's a nightlight there to help make children feel safe. At the same time, she won't be a softie. She'll be like the classic tough aunt with a southern root.
Sure, look at him. He's got more gadgets on him than a Swiss Army knife.
She'll be taking care of those less fortunate, whose leadership over the toys will be doing things for her she can't physically do. Her relationship with Woody comes across as 2 people that barely know each other from junior high. Bo Peep constantly questioning Woody why would he risk himself for others or dedicate himself to a kid is again out of character. She knows him since they had a relationship before in the previous films. Out of everyone, she knows Woody the best and his decision making. Like I said, they come across like strangers that randomly realize that, oh yeah, we used to date. When it comes to the new characters, Duck and Bunny feel out of place for this world. Duke and Boom backstory is similar to Buzz, how they couldn't accomplish what the commercial showed what they can do. When it came to Buzz, he used a rocket to fly across the sky and said he was falling with style, showing the character growth from the film. While Duke and Boom is able to accomplish his goals incredibly easily and to get over his depression much faster than Buzz, which feels a complete nothing burger for Duke and Boom to exist since he offers nothing interesting and is a poorly copy-paste of an interesting character, but hey, they want their famous guest character to be part of the film. Then let's talk about our villain in this film, Gabby. Apparently she gets a pass in this film than the other villains because all she wants to be played with and have the same experience of making a kid happy by holding someone as hostage and demanding a voice box they're not entitled to. Yeah, no, that's not going to work. Does Prospector Pete get a pass because he never got to be played by a kid, seeing other toys being bought and him left to collect dust in the shelf? Does Lotso get a pass because the kid parents replace him after being lost for X amount of time? No. Their action speaks volume to their past. Prospector Pete was willing to force Woody to be in a museum against his will. Lotso created a pyramid and put himself on top, ruling like a dictator. Gabby is on the same aspect. Just because she had a sad backstory does not excuse her nor deserve anything after what she's been doing. It gives a bad message to children that to get what they want, you need to hold someone at ransom. Lastly, Sporky, a lot of decision making, character motivation, events revolve around the piece of plastic like he's Jesus. So much more important than our protagonists that we follow over the years are tossed aside for essentially
trash. Woody.
The movie pushes your suspension of disbelief that a child will love this toy so much more than a week of having it. This is something that everyone in their life has made when they were a child. Either they throws it away or hoard it somewhere in the closet. As if his design isn't already bad enough, his personality equally matches it, where we see him being an idiot after getting over his suicide and start making fun of others for how dumb they are, without any self-reflection. Just like Duke and Boom, the writers got lazy and easily got over his depression after one conversation. The theme about it's good being a lost toy at the same time it's good being with a kid makes no sense what they're trying to say. You can't be wishy-washy on your theme, stick with one. Humor is inconsistent to the previous film, where they usually use it to transition to other scenes, move on the events of the story, and be witty.
What are you trying to pull? Nothing.
This is for Woody when you find him.
All right, but I don't think it'll mean the same coming for me.
While this movie relies heavily on shock or randomness, another pattern broken by this film. Tonally, it's all over the place. There are dark moments that come across as jokes, other times it gets existential about the concept of life. Here's the thing, Toy Story did have mature themes about the loved ones we make in our journey will one day die. How is it better to feel love to someone but know that love will one day end in a heartbreak and sadness? Or is it better to never feel love or rejection, having a life without misery or sadness, but never feel the joy of love? However, it was John Lassero's talent in storytelling that he's able to weave the threads of themes into the perspective for toys. This is something that the director John Cooley clearly lacks. Most of his filmography he's done were shows from other properties. This being his first animated film, he directed himself and it shows. It's very clear that he and the writers that he worked with have no understanding of the world, characters, themes, and the humor. It's to the point, can you even call this a sequel where it does everything it can to break all the rules previously established? So all I can say is that thank you Disney, John Cooley, and screenwriters for ruining 2 decades of hard work. I hope the money you made was worth it for destroying a legacy franchise. But personally for me, this shows the decline of Pixar, once regarded for their quality of imagination and storytelling, now producing mediocre, forgettable films.
I have a question. For God. Why?
Okay, bonus round. So yeah, apparently since Toy Story 4 managed to make $1 billion in the box office, it shows the cow still has some milk left to be able to squeeze out another sequel, the fifth one of the franchise, which at this point is a joke. I have no clue what they're trying to do with this new installment, especially how the movie left the characters separated. Other than that patch to fix the pile of rubble that the 4th one made to the franchise, let's be honest, that won't be the case, so all we can do is wait for it to come out to see how far the ship has sank. Thanks for watching, and bye.